Hello class and welcome to week 1 lecture 2. This lecture is going to be about PHP syntax, PHP variables, and using variables in mathematical operations. As we learned from the first lecture, PHP began with the PHP tags. Remember that the PHP tags tell us what code is going to be executed. So any code in between the two PHP tags are going to be executed on the server, and anything outside is just going to be rendered as plain HTML. So the first thing we're going to go through, we're going to learn basic syntax as well as the variables. Now, variables in PHP are pretty simple. Unlike other languages, you don't have to declare a data type. So all types of variables can be juggled around easily in PHP. So let's get started and let's create our first variable. To create a variable, you type the $sign and then the name of your variable. Some naming conventions you're going to want to follow when creating a variable. There's many ways to go about this. I usually like to keep mine camel-cased, which means I start off the first, if a variable is multi-word, then I will start off my variable with a lowercase letter, and then any word that comes after that is going to start with an uppercase letter. So, since our variable is going to be our first variable, why not let's call it first variable. So I'm going to type in first variable. So now I have $sign first variable. And now that's not it. I mean, you want to give this variable some kind of value. So if you want to set it equal to something, there you go. You use the equal sign. So you type a space, equal. You don't need the space, but it's preferred to make it look cleaner and easier to read. So after this equal sign, you can define what the value is for this variable. Now, if you want to give this variable a number, you can literally just start typing the number. And if it has decimals, you can add the decimals. And if it's a negative, just put the negative sign right in front of it. But what if you want to put a sentence in this variable? So, say you wanted your first variable to say, hello, my name is so-and-so. You couldn't just start typing out, hello, my name is so-and-so. You're gonna get some syntax errors there. So, when you want to make a variable a string, you're going to want to wrap it in quotes. Like I said in the first lecture, you can either use single or double quotes. It's definitely your preference. I'm going to use single quotes for now. So, inside our first variable, we can say, hello, my name is so-and-so. Now, like before, in the first lecture, I told you that a line of PHP code is going to end in a semicolon. This is one of those cases where it's going to end in a semicolon. There are some cases where PHP lines of code will not end in semicolons, but we'll get to that later. So now that we have this first variable, we now have the value of it. The value is, hello, my name is so-and-so, ... So let's go ahead and save this file. Okay, make sure it has the .php extension. And then go ahead and load it up. You don't see anything. Well, that's perfect. You shouldn't see anything because this is just, we're assigning a variable of value. We're not doing anything to print this variable. We're not doing anything to magically make it appear on the screen. But it's there. It's there to be used. So, in order to get a variable to be printed or echoed out onto the screen, you simply use one of those two that we learned in the first lecture, echo or print. I'm going to be using echo, so I will continually refer to printing as echoing. So keep that in mind. So to echo a variable, you type echo, you type a space, and then you type that variable name with the $sign. And remember, the semicolon comes after that. So now if you type this correctly and go into your browser, refresh your page, you should see, hello, my name is so-and-so, ... Basic printing out a variable to the screen. Now, let's say our first variable is a number, 5. Let's go ahead and create a second variable. So, second variable, let's make it 10. 5 and 10. Okay. Now, how would we go about making a third variable equal the sum of the first variable and the second variable? Easy. We use math. So let's create third variable. And remember, equal sign. And now with variables, variables can have a value of other variables. So let's start off by creating our first mathematical variable here. So third variable, we want it to be the sum of first and second variable. So we're going to use the plus sign, of course. So we type the variable we want to start as our base, so first variable, and then the plus sign, and then second variable. Now, third variable is equal to the value of first variable plus the value of second variable. And remember to end it with a semicolon. So now let's go ahead and echo out third variable. Now, if math is not your strongest strength, I guess, then I can tell you the answer is going to be 15. So, if we refresh our browser, we should get 15. There we go. That's the value of third variable. Now, the nice thing about being able to have this one variable that contains the sum of two variables, we could just change one of the two variables that are being added. So if we wanted to make first variable 7, we now get 17. It's as simple as that. And the other mathematical operations that are not considered functions, we have subtraction. So third variable is now equal to the difference of first variable and second variable. So 7 minus 10, that's a negative number. Should be negative 3. And that's exactly what we're going to get in our browser. Pretty straightforward. Now we also have multiplication. So the product of these two, 7 times 10, we should get 70, right? Of course, we get 70. And then, of course, we have division. So first variable divided by second variable. So third variable is the quotient of these two numbers. And 7 divided by 10 should be 7/10, so we should get 0.7. Very cool. Now, another one is modulus. If you don't know what modulus is, it's basically the remainder of a divisor. So, to get the modulus of two numbers, we would use the percentage sign. So 7 mod 10 gets us 7 because 7 is less than 10, so 7 mod 10 is going to give us the lower number. But if we if we swap the two around, so let's make first variable 10 and second variable 7, 10 divided by 3 is going to give us 1 with 3 left over. So our modulus is going to be 3. Pretty straightforward. Look at that. Now let's move on to some quick shorthand ways of adding variables together. So let's go ahead and let's get rid of second variable. So now we're just stuck with first variable is equal to 10. Now let's say we want a new variable that is the first variable plus something else. Okay. We already learned how to do that kind of addition, but we can add just a straight number to this first variable. So we can say first variable, we can say equals first variable plus 7 if we wanted to, but that's unnecessary code. The shorthand of quickly adding a number to an existing variable is using plus equals. So what this really says, it's telling us first variable is now equal to first variable plus the number after the equal sign. So if we did first variable plus equals 7 and went ahead and echoed first variable, we're going to get 17 now. Straightforward, right? And the same goes with subtraction. So first variable is now equal to first variable minus 7. So we get 3. You could do multiplication as well. You get 70. You can also do division. Get a strange number. Cool. You can even do modulus, just quickly. Right there, percentage sign equals, so you get 10 mod 7 is 3. Very cool. Now, say we just want to take this first variable and only add 1 to it. So we're going one step at a time. So we don't want to, you could say first variable plus equals 1 if you wanted to. But an even shorter way of going about this is saying first variable plus plus and then a semicolon. This is telling PHP to add 1 to this first variable. So now we start off with first variable is equal to 10, and then we say first variable plus plus and the semicolon, and if we were to echo out first variable now, we would get 11. Perfect. And you can also do that if you wanted to go down by 1. Minus minus. Decrease it, now you have 9. You can't do star star or slash slash or percentage sign because those aren't meant for incrementation or decreasing a number. So yeah, those are quick mathematical operations in PHP. So now let's move on to some more syntax of PHP. One thing we're gonna start off doing comment blocks. There are multiple ways of doing comments. If you wanted to do a comment at the end of a line, well, let's explain what a comment is first. A comment in PHP is text that is not going to be executed by the server. So maybe you're in the middle of a project and you want to save something for later. You make a comment to do, and then blah blah blah, do this to that. So let's just type out some code here. So echo hello world. We'll go back to that. And if we wanted to put a comment at the end of this line, there are 2 ways of doing this. Well, there's actually 3 ways. There's multiple ways actually. But I'm just going to teach you 3 basic ways. The first way, you can do a pound sign. You just type pound sign, and anything after that pound sign is going to be a comment. So we can type, "This is a short sentence." And now, if we went into our PHP file here, refreshed it, we're only going to get hello world. We're not going to see anything after that. Another way you can do a single line comment like this is using 2 forward slashes. This is another comment. Cool. And same thing, you refresh, you get the same output. Now say you wanted to do multi-line comments, so a comment block, would you say? I mean, if you wanted to, you could type one-line comments like this, 1, 2, 3. No, those are meant for one lines. To do a multi-block comment, you want to do forward slash, and then an asterisk, and then another asterisk. Now in my editor, if I continually hit enter, it's going to put in another asterisk in there. So we can chit chat here. This is a multi-line comment. And to stop this comment, since this is a multi-line comment block, it'll keep being a comment until you close it. So the way to close it, just put another forward slash where you want to stop it. So now if you were to save this, go into your PHP file here, refresh the page, you're going to get the same output. This is a prettier version of a comment, especially when you're documenting anything, whether it's function or class, just documentation all the way. So now we've covered pretty much the little essentials of PHP syntax. Later we're going to move into conditional logic. This is where we start asking PHP questions. Like, is this less than that? Is this greater than that? Is this equal to that? That will be in next week on Monday. And that'll probably be a longer video than this one. But let's do a little bit more here with the mathematical operations. A fun thing you can do, you don't need to have variables to do addition or subtraction or multiplication. You can simply echo it out. So let's say we want to echo out 5 times 2. You literally just tell PHP to echo 5 times 2. It's going to know you want the number 10. And the good thing about PHP is it does follow order of operations. So if you did 5 plus 5 times 2, if you think it went step by step, you would assume that this would give us 50. But it will give us 15 because it follows order of operations, PEMDAS. And if you wanted to get into more complicated functions, like so you have, 7 minus 5, and then you wanted to divide that group by 6. You don't even need the parentheses there. You can just wrap your mathematical expression in parentheses and then do what you want afterwards with it. So I have parentheses 7 minus 5, so it's really telling us 2 divided by 6. So now I would really get my 1/3 answer instead of this 7 minus 5/6 answer, which is completely wrong. And you can nest multiple sets of expressions within each other. So we can do 5 times, 6 divided by 3, and then we can multiply or divide that whole answer. So we're looking at 10, so we could divide it by another expression here, 4 minus 2 times 2 or something. Well, that would be 0. Let's see what happens when we break it. Ah, it's going to scream. You can't divide by 0. You don't want to do that. So let's just do 2 times 3. So now we have the quantity of 6 divided by 3 times 5 divided by the quantity 2 times 3, and that is subtracted from 4. So we get negative 5. Seems right? So 5 times 2 is 10, divided by negative 2, negative 5. Cool. Pretty simple like that. There are more math functions out there, but since we really haven't dabbled into functions just yet, we're not going to go that route just yet. So here you have these simple. It's like you were typing them in Google to ask it an answer. You just type it the way it appears on paper. Just wrap the parentheses around the top of a fraction or the denominator, either one. Now PHP does have like some constants in it. Like you can echo pi. Whoops. Pi. Pi, you need the parentheses. Technically, it's a function that just returns a constant. It's not an actual constant. Anyways, PHP is pretty good with math. I mean, it doesn't handle large numbers straightforward like this. There are libraries in PHP that can handle larger numbers. But to get the job done, PHP can do pretty advanced math as long as you know the functions and how to use it correctly. So yeah, this is the end of the lecture. Remember, next week will be on conditional logic. This code, I will rewrite it so we have all steps of it available. Will be hosted on GitHub as a gist, and feel free to post any questions, comments, feedback, anything on the Google group or on the comments of this video. I will do my best to answer as quickly as I can. And alright, I'll see you guys next week.